Okay, I'm going to talk about the role of religion in Iran in general, but also given the fact that we are in the middle of this amazing revolution in the Arab world, one can't help but also think about what has been said, the ridiculous paradigms that they have been building in the United States and in Europe about Islam, about the role of Islamism, about the dichotomy, the false dichotomy of either extremist Muslims or autocratic friends of the West. We see that many of these stereotypes, many of these graphic novel, cartoonish views of the world are collapsing in the wake of what is happening right now in the Arab world. One really has to think seriously about what would take to overthrow, to do away with some of the paradigms of understanding the Islamic world. And I think if what is happening right now in the Arab world can't do it, nothing can. There has been all this talk about the role of Islam in this, or the fear of Muslim Brotherhood, and all these views that Islam can't help but be an authoritarian political order, and it is going to take over the movement, and the false parallels that are being drawn to the Iranian Revolution. One really has to think about how to address these kinds of fears. And what I would like to say is these stereotypes about Islam, these stereotypes about the role of religion in the Middle East are not the exclusive bailiwick of the Fox News. They are much more widespread than that. A lot of people, including a lot of Iranians, especially Iranians in exile, especially Iranian intellectuals, have these kinds of views about Islam being this kind of rigid, predetermined force, and especially Iranians usually take their cues from the facticity of what developed in the wake of the Iranian Revolution, not recognizing that while those things were going on, they were very fluid. A lot of things could have happened. But it just happened that a bunch of Islamists took over and kind of dominated the discourse and created the rigid structure that turned out to be the Islamic Republic of Iran. When these things were happening, a lot of possibilities were there. They could have developed otherwise. We failed to see the possibilities in the past because the past has happened already. I mean, there is this kind of optical illusion that it was determined, it was supposed to happen like that. The cartoonish image of this that has been developing in the last decade since 9/11 in the right-wing media is that Islam is one thing. It started in 7th century. It has been expanding from Tunisia to Indonesia. And if you turn your head, Sharia is going to come over and take over your lives. And they are about to invade. Muslims are at the gates. Islam is one thing, and it's all about the oppression. Or Islam is one thing; it's all about fighting Christianity or envying the democratic freedoms of the Western people. I mean, these stereotypes hopefully have taken a huge hit in the events that are unfolding in the Arab world. But I think these ideas about religion, most of these ideas really have their roots in the Enlightenment philosophy. We have to really think about this much more seriously. The Muslim Brotherhood, I mean, somebody discovered that Sayyid Qutb was somehow connected to this, and that somebody discovered that a radicalized version of the Muslim Brotherhood is somehow connected to the Al-Qaeda. And then there's these views that Islam is this kind of invidious force that is going to take over the world or going to be transforming itself into terrorism and things like that has taken over everybody's minds. The Iranian version of this among Iranian intellectuals, again, is that Islam is this political force. It may come in kind of like a lamb and kind of trying to accommodate, but you turn your head, Ayatollah Khomeini will come out of it, and Egypt will end up like Iran. And this is just as simplistic as the most simplistic terrorism expert in Fox News' views of what is happening in Egypt. And in order to really do away with these kinds of thinking, all we need to do is to kind of look at religion rather than through stereotypes, looking at the religion actually as it exists on the ground. One very concrete example, look at the career of Ayatollah Montazeri. Religion is not, again, as some Iranian intellectuals have expounded, this kind of worldview that doesn't allow rational thinking, and it's all about, as one Iranian philosopher has put it, din khui, this religious thinking, which is all about obedience and not thinking. Think about Ayatollah Montazeri. Think about, of course, the transformation of Muslim brotherhoods from 1920s to today. See how their views about the world has gone through so many cycles, so many differences. If religion was all about obedience, these people would have the same idea. Their ideas have changed. Today, when Khamenei says in Iran that this is another Islamic revolution, Muslim Brotherhood immediately says, no, this is not what it's about. We don't seek hegemony. And so things change. Religious people change. And just look at the career of Montazeri. Montazeri was a protege of Ayatollah Khomeini. He gained his ijtihad, which is a doctor of Islamic law, under the tutelage of Ayatollah Khomeini. And very much like Khomeini, he was an architect of a new vision of Islamic politics. Shiites who have been this quietist version of Islam that has had this kind of post-millenarian character, this kind of quietist attitude towards politics, awaiting the coming of the Mahdi, the final rescuer. They stayed away from politics. It took somebody like Khomeini to use all his legalistic expertise to pull out of this Islamic jurisprudence this idea of Islamic government. And it was pretty amazing the way he kind of put together, kind of completely reversed the entire political implication of Islam, of Shiite Islam, by arguing that, well, the final, second coming of Mahdi and Jesus Christ and all the other rescuers will definitely happen, but we should start our own Islamic State anyway. And in this, he completely went against 1,200 years of Shiite jurisprudence. So was Khomeini somebody who's obediently following? He created the idea of an Islamic State, and Ayatollah Montazeri was right behind him, and he was appointed the heir apparent of Ayatollah Khomeini. For many years in Iran, Khomeini had designated Montazeri as somebody who would follow him. But Montazeri actually started to object to some of the injustices that were happening under Ayatollah Khomeini, and he actually came out and denounced some of the actions of the government that he considered to be un-Islamic and indeed criminal. And he was sacked, and he was put under house arrest, and he lived under a very, very difficult situation in the city of Qom. Of course, they couldn't put him in jail because he's a grand Ayatollah, and he has a very important position in Qom, and his learning and erudition is he definitely outranks the supreme leader of Iran, Khamenei. Until we come to the Green Revolution. Montazeri kept his opposition to the way things were in Iran, but he was committed still to this idea, this kind of Khomeini's reconstruction of Islamic jurisprudence called the mandate of the jurisconsult. The idea that the Muslim jurist has political power. Now, basically, Montazeri was, in a way, very, very instrumental in making this idea into the constitution of the Islamic Republic. It was part of that cadre elite that penetrated the constitutive assembly and pushed this Khomeini's idea into the Iranian constitution. And he is very, very causally significant in creating the Islamic Republic. When he did this, he was not blindly obeying anybody. Indeed, he was a revolutionary. He was changing the entire history of Shiite jurisprudence and existence of Shiites as a political force. Then he turns his back to what he has created, and he becomes a recluse and lives under house arrest for 20 years.